I know, as a journalist, I'm supposed to remain unbiased. That's why I'm not a journalist. I want this guy to win. John Wilson, I want you to win. King County Regional Housing Authority, that thing needs to go. We need to get in there. You've been the tax assessor, the dreaded tax assessor since 2015. Now you've decided to throw your hat into the ring. King County Executive Dow Constantine steps away. You get a chance to come in there. What the hell are you doing?
Let's have some fun.
Wait, hold on. You are too old for this job.
Oh, bull,
Get on that button, Andrew. Why do you want this challenge?
Because somebody's got to get the... We're back on radio, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
right,
careful. This is not some stupid podcast that millions of people listen to.
Look, we need a supervising adult at the county. And, look, I'm going to be 71 tomorrow.
Okay.
70 is the new 40. So, and babe, I'm in the
Where
best.
Where did that come from?
I'm in the best shape, John, I've been in 35 years, man. I am
You're
down
like Mike Tyson.
to the same weight that I was when I was at King TV, when you were at King TV.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I actually can fit into a blazer that I bought back then.
Oh, I'm voting for you, yeah.
But, no, look, when you talk to people, they tell you there are three things I'm concerned about: crime, affordable housing, and taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they got every right to be concerned
redundant.
about
Taxes and crime are redundant. But anyway.
Well, but the fact is the county's foremost duty is a public justice system, a public safety system that's on the verge of collapse. Look, we don't have enough cops. We don't have enough mental health counselors. We don't have enough prosecutors. We don't have enough jail beds. We've taken the operational hours of the new jail we built down in Kent when I was chief of staff for Executive Sims, and we've limited it to 7 to 2 p.m. weekdays, as if criminals have some kind of union that they only work these hours. Come on, you need to have a criminal justice system, especially as far as booking, that works 24/7, because that's when the crime happens. Mm-hmm. And the public is just fed up. And you hear talks about, well, I'm enhancing public safety. No, let's get criminals off the street. Let's stop worrying more about criminals and worry about crime victims. Because in way too many cases, the crime victims are those very, supposed people we care so much about,
right.
Black and brown people that are struggling just to get by each week. And we're not making it any easier.
The challenge, I hate the word problem, the challenge you will have is that this culture of spending people's money irresponsibly to, quote unquote, solve problems doesn't happen. So $1 billion of our money has been taken so far, and the homeless count keeps increasing every single year. So a 23% increase since 2022, 16,000 homeless. That's the last count that they had. And they have spent, the King County Regional Housing Authority is a mess. They altogether in 10 years, $1 billion has been spent on this. And people keep coming and keep taking advantage of the taxpayer, both not only elected officials, but those people that are receiving all of the benefits.
But there needs to be a reality check when it comes to the Regional Homelessness Authority. It might have been a great idea, but clearly it hasn't worked. It's time to face the music, disband it, and start over, and put money back out on the street where you really need it. And also look at how do we run the county more efficiently. One of the things the next executive is going to have to do is scrub the budget. And I mean scrub it.
There you go.
Like one of the things I did when
Give him a big boom on that one, Andrew. Get in there. Zero baseline budgeting on this thing.
When I first became county assessor, I looked and I said, look, there's got to be a way we can save some money here. We were on 2 floors. I said, I bet you I can get us on 1 floor. I cut a deal with then Deputy Exec Fred Jarrett. I said, if I can do it in a way that we don't dislocate any, but right. He said, well, it'll take a year. I said, I can do it in 6 months. I did, John. We got rid of more than 500 file cabinets, scanned millions of papers because nobody looked at them anymore. And we went from 2 floors down to 1. We saved the county $3 million a year in facility costs. But I didn't stop there. Next, I saw that Fleet was putting out vehicles for sale to the general public, lightly used vehicles. I said, wait a minute, my people need vehicles. I want to buy some of them. They said, well, John, that doesn't happen. County officials don't buy used vehicles. I said, look, you're telling me I'm supposed to buy a hybrid Escape at $38,000 a piece. If I get the non-one, it's 18. So why am I spending an extra 20 grand? And furthermore, some of these vehicles look so. I went and bought a batch of them, 5 of them initially, for a total of $18,000 for just the 5.
Wait, you got 5 vehicles for $18,000?
Yeah, including a Prius that was 5 years old but only had 20,000 miles on it. And I cut a deal with Fleet Services, I said, and we eventually built out our we had to bring some new vehicles in. But I got them to regularly send me the list before they put it out to the public, and we'd cherry pick. Now, full disclosure, the Ford truck I got was a lemon. Now, it's not a reflection on Ford, but it was a lemon. I said, I want a new truck.
Okay.
But we've done things like that, and I've fought like hell to try to figure out how to deliver services more efficiently. And too often I find in a county bureaucracy that doesn't think the way I do, they go, yeah, but it's only money. Yeah, it's somebody's money. It's the taxpayers' money.
Where does this come from? What was your childhood like, your parents? And how'd you learn the value of a dollar?
My parents were your classic hard-working Midwesterners. My dad, though, in particular, by the time he was 20, he had lost both his dad and his mom. He had to put himself through school and put his brother through college. And when my dad came back from World War II, he went to work immediately for then the Northern Pacific Railroad. And from growing up as a toddler with him, I learned the value of hard work and of, you care for one another, but there's such a thing as personal responsibility.
So that's kind of cellular for you. That stays in you.
Yeah, my dad was a remarkable man and truly a self-made person. Never got a college degree, but he rose up to be a vice president in then the Burlington and Northern. My parents, for good or bad, my mother always wanted me to be a lawyer. Thank God. I love her dearly, but I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. No offense to all you lawyers out there, but we've got enough of you already. Okay. And I loved history. I loved to write. And so, I went off and I was a journalist, and I won a bunch of goofy national awards, and then I went into government.
We're talking with John Wilson, King County Assessor, running for King County Executive after Dow Constantine steps out. You know when I became a fan of yours officially as the assessor? Because I have no life. I watched 25 minutes of you speaking to why they should reassess the value of commercial buildings after the lockdown. You said, listen, these people that have these businesses, that have these commercial businesses, we can't continue to assess their property at X because they have suffered no fault of their own because of the lockdown. They've lost value. We need to reassess that value. So here was a tax assessor asking for less money from the taxpayer. And I was like, I love this guy.
Well, but John, it was what was right. It wasn't any fault of these thousands of small businesses that suddenly found their door slammed shut. And they go, what am I supposed to do? And even today, I've started talking to folks. You drive around the entire county, but certainly in Seattle and even in parts of the suburbs, and you see too many storefronts that are boarded up. And look, the reality is there's never going to be enough street-level retail in that. But then why don't we look at how we give a tax break to landlords to get those sites filled? Because they help not only small businesses, they help build community safety. When you've got an actual business open there on the ground floor, you don't have people hanging in the doorway shooting up drugs or menacing passersby. You have community. And we got to be smarter about that. It isn't just tax for the sake of taxing, and I think sometimes we get carried away with that. We really ought to look at how we make taxes more fair for homeowners, renters, and small businesses. And we've pushed that previously in Olympia. We'll go down again and try to get that done. But it's tough when you have a legislature that at times, frankly, views it as their money.
Right.
And I'm kind of old school that way. I go, no, it's not your money. It's not my money. It's their money, the public's money.
What is the total budget there at King County?
Oh God, it's over $6 billion, I think now total.
How much fat do you think is in there, just off the top of your head? Two of us sitting around drinking a beer. What do you think is in there that you could actually get in there and start whacking away at?
Wow.
I mean, here's a guy that bought 5 cars for $18,000. I figured you'd have some idea that.
Well, I would bet you that if you got serious, there's 20 to 30% you could probably get at. I give you an example. We're working on a computer system right now because we're on an old mainframe system, and we want to modernize it and that. And we brought to the council and to the executive an idea to use a nearshore developer that could do it for a fifth of the cost in a third of the time and save the county somewhere around $60 million on the project. And we were told, yeah, but they're offshore. And you go, so? And they'd actually done work for us before that was just outstanding. And I said, look, I can't justify spending more money for this computer system while I need it. I don't want to spend a dime more for it than I absolutely have to. But the notion was, yeah, but we need a really big vendor to fix this.
Oh, yeah.
No, you need a really good vendor to fix it.
Right. I'll tell you a story. I was out with Dave, the cop, one evening, and we come across this guy. He's 23 years old. They pull him out from underneath a bathroom stall at a restaurant. He still has a needle in his arm. He comes to after they Narcan him. He's standing there. Am I going to get arrested? They said, no, you're not going to get arrested. Just don't. You're not allowed back in this restaurant again. So then Dave calls me over and says, listen to this guy's story. So he says, tell the story to Curley. So when he was 21 years old, they have his wisdom teeth taken out. He's living in Idaho. And then they give him some Oxy. He gets addicted to it. Then he can't find the Oxy on the street after a year of getting addicted to this stuff. So he starts taking different drugs. And somebody said to him, hey, you know what? You should go to Seattle because they've got all the drugs in the world in Seattle. Plus, they've got all these homeless services for you. You could live in Seattle, do your drugs, and you won't miss a step. So the guy at the age of 22 or 23 years old hops on a bus and comes to Seattle. And there he is, homeless, drug addicted in Seattle, getting everything he wants. And when the one cop said to him, there at the end of the road, at the end of the street right here, if you take a right, there's some services that can help you get off this thing, or you can just keep going straight ahead. It's up to you. But down the end of the street, I think it was on 5th or wherever street it was on. And we watched him walk right down the street. He didn't take a right. He just kept going wherever he was going to go. I think a lot of the people, I don't think these are homegrown homeless. I think these people come to Seattle because Seattle has the services and the drugs, and we don't enforce the laws.
Well, I think there's something to that. There's some evidence that you do have those that are literally sometimes put on a bus, but otherwise come here. But you know, part of it is we've got to ask ourselves, is that really compassionate to turn somebody back on the street that is so addicted and so chemically dependent? You know, look, we've allowed our bus system too often to become a literal rolling fentanyl den. The stories that have been on the air over the last couple of years have been just shocking to me, of watching people get on the bus, go to the back and start going. And it's reached a point, I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. My girls both work in the food industry. The youngest one's a very talented chef. But she said, Dad, I've stopped taking the bus. It's not safe. You know, I don't want to work at night because it's not safe. And there are parts of town I don't want to go to because the person on the back of the bus is shooting up or smoking up. There's a way to fix that. And it requires some new leadership. And what you simply do is you sit down the sheriff, who now reports to the county executive. Right. You sit down the head of Metro, who reports to the county executive. You get the prosecutor in the room. You get the head of ATU 587 that represents the bus drivers, and you say, here's the new way we're going to do this. Somebody comes on the bus, pulls out their paraphernalia in the back of the bus. The driver's directed to call dispatch immediately. They tell them where the next stop is. They pull the bus over. At that stop, 2 uniformed officers come, take the person, take them to jail, and book them. But book them and tell them you either go upstairs or you go into treatment. But we're not running a salmon recovery program. This isn't catch and release. You're going to go either upstairs or into treatment. And we fail to take that sort of holistic approach of, okay, you got to start someplace, but frankly, first you got to break that cycle of addiction,
right?
Because otherwise, it just keeps rolling. And I've seen people, you know, I mean, when we were in the admin building between the jail and the courthouse, all too often I'd have employees come, hey, there's somebody that OD'd in the restroom. You went, oh God, really? You know, that's not a human life for anybody to lead. And you know, we've got to realize that compassion and common sense aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. I was going to steal that Friday for you. Give you that. All right. So when do you hit the campaign trail? You starting to do that now?
We're dialing for dollars, and we're out talking to people. We'll be getting around to all of the county because it's a whole county job.
I know it is.
And one of the great advantages I have right now, I'm the only one that's looking at this job that's actually run countywide and won. Not once, not twice.
When is the
but 3
election
times.
for this thing?
It's in 25.
Okay.
And the other thing I'm going to propose is there should be term limits for the executive.
Ooh, power move. Look at you.
Well, I've watched Dow. I worked for Ron Sims. If you do the job right, 2 terms ought to be enough. And there are lots of talented young people out there that probably want that job. I don't want to hold on to it. I want to get in, and I want to get some stuff done. And I think if you have the deadline of term limits,
it forces you.
Exactly.
You know that I got a limited time.
You know it being in broadcasting,
right.
you have a deadline.
And we got a deadline right now. I got to get to Nate.
Yeah.
But listen, John Wilson, I want you to win. I'll do whatever I can. We will probably end up having your other fellow adversaries on to find out their positions on this, but common sense and compassion. Thank you, John Wilson. Appreciate it here.